All right, here we go. Still there?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So here we go. Here we go in 3, in 2, and 1. Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. Tonight, we have the distinct honor and pleasure to be joined by the Two Blind Mice show. I ironically found out about this show from the Blind Hangout group after I got done with our interview with Tony Telfer. I saw this post, the Two Blind Mice show. I thought, oh, wow, this is really interesting. Turns out we have a lot of things in common, and probably there's a lot of things that are slightly different about our perspectives in life. So why don't either one of you can start the conversation, but whoever you are, you should explain who both of you are, your blindness journey, the origin, and how you developed the Two Blind Mice show. And we'll basically walk through the journey. As I say, I'll mute my end of the microphone and you guys have it for a while. We'll sit back and listen, go right ahead.
All right. Well, my name is Philip, and I came from the planet Krypton. And here I am today living in South Texas. I've come to discover that really my vision loss became an issue back in 2015. What I did not realize that my vision loss was all the way back into the 1980s, which the way I discovered it was watching classic movies with audio description and coming to the realization that I missed a lot more than I realized. So that's my story becoming vision loss. Now, as me, as you know, for being Philip, again, we live in South Texas. I was just born and raised here, and I did a 17-year law enforcement career. And unfortunately, my vision loss ended that career. And it wasn't something easy to deal with. My marriage ended. My finances took a blow. And it was just a very stressful time for me. And I think it was, my career ended in 2005. From that point on, my vision loss was becoming more and more obvious. By 2015, I was to complete vision loss. And at that point, I had no idea what was available as far as resources for the blind. It wasn't until about 2018 that I started realizing what was available, and I started moving forward from that point. I met Mary in 2019.
Let's hear my story.
Well, hold on. Just
Okay, go ahead.
my story. My story. And we were married in 2020. And here we are 4 years later, and we're going on 2 years with the Two Blind Mice show, which is a significant leap for the both of us because we never expected to be doing what we're doing today. And I'm having a fun time doing it. I truly am having a fun time doing it, and I don't have any plans to stop anytime soon. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw the microphone over to Mary, and Mary's going to tell us her life story.
Yeah, mine. I'm Mary Sotelo, aka Vanna. There's this big story behind that. I was a nurse for over 20 years. I lost my eyesight in 2015 due to a medication side effect that 1 in a million. I was the 1 in a million. Everybody's going to ask, what medication? Doxycycline. So I was a nurse. I had a professional career. I was married to my first husband. I took care of him most of our 20-year marriage. Then I went blind and he had to learn how to take care of me. And then he passed away 2 years later. So I pretty much was a couch potato when I went blind. Didn't know what to do with myself. What am I going to do now? Why did this happen? And then what? Then my husband dies and I'm like, okay, now what do I do? So pretty much didn't do anything. I prayed. I said, well, God, bring me a nice Christian man that can help me. And guess what? Ta-da! There's Phil. We met in church. We kind of did a phone tag for a while, and we met finally, and we got to know each other, and he taught me how to deal with my blindness better than anybody with sight could teach me. Brought me back into the kitchen. We both cook now. We both are very independent people, and now we do the live stream and lots of other things. We got our hands into a lot of things, not just
Yeah,
Two Blind Mice.
It's a big cookie jar.
Okay, here you go.
So here we are. And, a minute ago I said that I have a fun time doing what I'm doing. Nope, some people don't believe it, and many will disagree, I think. I enjoy being blind because I've met so many extraordinary people ever since I started doing all the outreach that we do. And now we can add Aaron to the fray on this, because the stigma is that once you're blind, you got to stay home all day and do nothing. Well, I totally disagree. And I enjoy it. I mean, like I said, we have our hands full. I mean, they're way into the cookie jar. We do run a nonprofit charity called the Y Cane Project. That one is designed to provide free navigation canes to those who are unable to afford them. And we recently announced that we're going international. We have provided almost 100 canes to a school for the blind in Mexico City. We are doing outreach right now to different associations around the world to see if they are in need of our help. Locally, I do run a local group called the Rio Grande Valley Coalition of the Blind, and that's designed to bring awareness to our community about the need for understanding when it comes to interacting with persons with vision loss. And in fact, this coming Friday, we will be interviewed by our state representative, who appears to have made the decision to become an advocate in helping us bring the necessary resources to our area. And that leads to another hand in the cookie jar. We are hoping to start a school for the blind in our area. And we're not ready to stop. We really are not ready to stop. And it keeps us busy, which I prefer, because I'd rather do that than just lounge around. I'll still do it, just don't do it as much.
Yeah.
You got anything to add, dear? I think pretty much I covered that part, right?
We do a lot of advocacy. We are Lions Club members. We do work with the Lions Club quite often. We will be trying to get a grant from them for our nonprofit. So when you see a QR code on our Facebook or anywhere, that is for our nonprofit, to donate to our nonprofit. That's solely, we are a, what is it? We have the IRS.
It's a 501c3 nonprofit charity. So any donation is tax deductible. We are going to be putting that QR code or a pay link, donation link on our website. It's a little bit down. It's getting ready to come back up since we went international. We had to redo the website. So that's about finished. So what's the other thing? Oh, there's one more thing that we do, dear. Which one is it? Oh my gosh.
There's so much. We're trying to get people to donate. Well, we're going to try to work on getting donations for dog food for the guide dogs. It's very expensive for guide dogs owners because they're on fixed incomes to feed a dog that takes about 40 pounds. Every 2 weeks or so of dog food, which is running into almost $100 a bag now, and it's very expensive. And we've had people reach out to us to try to get some kind of donations for that. So we're working on that too. What else are we working on?
Yeah, well, actually just came to me. One of the new projects, very, very new projects. I haven't even really launched it yet. We're hoping to do this. In fact, on our July 22nd, the Two Blind Mice broadcast that we're going to be doing is we're inviting a representative from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department.
Yep.
And he's going to talk about what Texas is doing to make state parks more accessible to everyone with a disability. Mm-hmm. Well, me being me, had the wheel started spinning in my head, and I said, I wonder if we can work together with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and have, in October 2025, very likely it's just going to be from our community, but I won't be surprised if it's expands statewide. Have about a 3 to 5 day camp at one of the major state parks. Mm-hmm. Our hope is that we can get sponsors to help us provide for everything that we need. We're hoping to invite sponsors to demonstrate what they have for, visually impaired persons. We're just hoping to make that our hope, our biggest hope regarding this project is that we can do it at no cost to anyone who wants to participate. We're hoping to have people with different levels of vision loss attend, and we're also asking for volunteers who are willing to donate their time to be there and help be sighted guides for everyone that is attending.
So
It-
Two Blind Mice facilitates all of these things that we're doing. It was basically created to get the blind community to see the access to technology. That's what it basically was started about, was technology for the blind. We started with Navilance, then we started with all these other blind technology things that we introduced through Two Blind Mice. Now it's kind of gone out in different directions all over the place. It's kind of spread out to different things.
Yeah, let me give you an example. About a month ago, I was invited to speak at one of the local universities here, and it was a technology camp for blind students, and it just totally blew my mind to discover that almost 90% of those in attendance had no idea of what the technology was out there. I mean, they didn't even know how to use voiceover on their devices. And that's when I said, and my initial reason for attending that was to get awareness going as to whether we need a blind school or not. And if anything cemented doing that, it was that engagement that I was, involved in, and it's totally needed. And that's, again, like Mary said, that started as a result of the Two Blind Mice show. The outreach that we've done has opened doors for us, and Erin's no exception.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's who we are. That's what we do. And feel free to ask us any questions.
Yes.
All amazing, all wonderful. And I certainly have several, if not many questions for you.
Okay.
For one thing, I'll start with Philip. Philip, sounds like you come from an interesting background. If I heard you properly, it sounds like you started out in life as a sighted person who had a law enforcement career. That's excellent, by the way. I'm a patriot. So, what do you mind sharing? What section of law enforcement did you work in?
Municipal law enforcement. I was a police officer. By the
Excellent.
time I was done, I was a supervisor. I retired as a patrol sergeant, and that was pretty much the end of that. Then I started way at the bottom of the barrel and worked my way up the food chain, and that's where it ended. Unfortunately, I mean, the way I like to say, I did 17 years. I probably would have done 17 more. I enjoyed that job quite a bit.
That's wonderful. So good. So good. And were you a police officer there in Texas, in the same town where you are now? In the same jurisdiction, really?
Compared to now, it's about a 20 mile drive.
Yeah.
I see.
But it's all the same when you really think about this region.
Very good. Very good. Now, did you come from a military or a law enforcement family to
No.
begin with?
No,
Oh,
I was first generation law enforcement.
Oh, wonderful. All right.
Yeah.
Now, so then after that, though, around 2005, when you started to really notice your vision loss, so what was the cause of your vision loss? So in my case, I was born blind with glaucoma and a congenital heart defect. And as I might have mentioned, I also have Peters anomaly syndrome. So that's kind of my background. But what was the cause of your blindness?
Mine is retinitis pigmentosa.
Oh,
RP.
that's a popular one. Okay, good.
Yeah,
It's hereditary.
I've
Yeah.
come to discover. In fact, there's a story behind that that I never thought I'd share. I'm adopted, and I never interacted with my adopted, my bio mom or anything like that. Well, in 2022, we're driving up to New Orleans to attend the NFB convention, and as I'm crossing the state line, one of my relatives calls in and says, "Hey, your mother wants to talk to you." I kind of found it strange because my mother died in 2020. And I said, "No, not that mother, your mother.
Yeah.
And I asked, "Where does she live at?" Well, it turns out she lives 20 miles from where I live right now. And I did meet him after I returned. And it turns out I'm the oldest of 9 children, I come to discover. My adoptive family is just me and 2 sisters. But now I have 9 siblings, 12 siblings, I guess 11. I'm doing bad math. But anyway, well, it turns out that I know where my RP came from. My mother, my biological mother, was a carrier.
Yep.
And several of my, I think, nieces, nephews,
Your brother.
some brothers all have RP.
Yeah.
So that added a little twist to my life as far as my vision loss. I had a small micro family to one major family now.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating, beautiful. And so now, do you keep in touch with these brothers, your siblings from your biological mother?
Sort of. It's up to them. I give them the opportunity. I don't like to push myself on them
Sure.
because in my opinion, and I kind of sort of felt that there was a little bit of animosity that I never contacted our mother. Well, the fact is, I didn't know where she was, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Sure.
One of them is on my, no, actually, two of them are on my Facebook friends list, so that gives you an idea of the kind of relationship we have.
Yeah.
Understood. That's very
Yeah.
interesting. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right.
Mhm.
And then more to dig into the whole concept of the Two Blind Mice show. So,
Mhm.
it takes, I think it takes a lot to, create a talk show. I know that it certainly does, and I've been doing this since 2020, so I can tell you that, yeah, it's definitely quite an undertaking to maintain a persona, a show, a presence in the blindness community. So, what tipped you both over? What possessed you two people, you two very kind and nice people, to want to disturb your lives by the public and create a show? I mean, come on, you guys were doing so well. What really tipped you over the edge to create your show?
Well, what happens is Mary and I, we talk often and we can talk for hours. That's how our first real meet started. We talked for 8 hours nonstop. The first time we had a chance to be by ourselves. So we still do that. We talk quite often, especially before the lights go out at night. And I'm being,
We don't have any lights on.
yeah, metaphorical, I guess.
Metaphorically, yeah.
So anyway, so we talk, and one day I don't know exactly why it popped into. Oh, I know why. I'm into politics. I'm a former congressional primary candidate,
Mhm.
and so we talk a lot about politics. And one night I decided to see what would happen. Initially, the Two Blind Mice show was supposed to be a political talk show,
Mhm.
but it obviously took a different turn. And the way it started was one night we were talking, and I said, I wonder. So I started, Mary didn't realize that I was interrogating her. And she was talking back, and we're going back and forth on politics and everything. I said, I wonder. So the next morning, I said, why don't we do this? And she took the bait. And here we are today. And yeah, initially it was supposed to be a political talk show, but now as time went on, I mean, if you compare our newer shows to our older shows,
Oh yeah, there's a big difference.
totally different. And ours is a faith-based show. We have a tremendous faith in God, and we are not afraid to share that with anybody. And it's just gone from there. And as time progressed, we said, wait a minute, we need to talk about technology.
Yeah.
And then we said, well, that's not enough. Let's bring in the developers.
Yeah.
So this is where we're at. We have constantly having guests come on our show. And I love it because, like I said at the start of this podcast, was I have met some extraordinary people.
Yeah, we had the doctor from Voice Vista, Dr. Wu, was on. We've had Oko, the creators of Oko, on. We've had what's the other one that
we had Rand McAllister from Navilence
come on. We've had so many developers, them actual developers have come on. Which has been like, I tell Phil, how do you get these people? He's like, I just email them. What?
Yeah.
Okay. And we went to NFB and we actually met them in person, and I couldn't believe it. They knew who we were. We were in line to meet the guy from Oko, and one of the guys goes, I recognize that voice. And I'm like, what? You're Two Blind Mice, aren't you? I'm like, no way. Shut up. You're joking. And he goes, I recognize you. You're Two Blind Mice. So I'm like, that's the first time I've ever been recognized for being on the show.
Yeah. But don't make it all out hunky dory. Okay, let's face facts. At that point, Mary was like, I don't know if I want to keep doing this show. But boy, when the paparazzi came on, it just totally
changed. Not him, but two people recognized us at the NFB, and I was like, I guess they are listening, so that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, I guess I want to say, and no offense to any of our guests, but I think one of the most memorable shows we had was recently. Yeah. We had a guest from Morgan's Wonderland, and if you're not familiar with Morgan's Wonderland, It is a full access theme park in San Antonio. It's both an amusement park and a water park, and is dedicated to people with disabilities. And everything they have there, all the attractions are fully accessible to anyone with a disability. And
that one made me cry a few times.
yeah, that one was a very touching one because of how it started, and it just really. I mean, we have every intention of being there next spring, and we hope we can, because you know, and that's the thing. It goes back to everything that I said in the past. We have met some extraordinary people,
really extraordinary people, including Aaron now.
We keep repeating that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really cool. It's really fascinating. I completely agree. Agree with you that's how things get started. That is incredibly interesting. You keep the more both of you talk, the more details and the more things keep slipping out and keep spilling out of your mouths. So it turns out you were a former congressional candidate, a candidate for U.S. Congress or Texas House of Delegates, or what?
Actually, Congress, U.S. Congress.
Now, were you ever elected to Congress?
No.
If elected, this is an easy question. If elected tomorrow, what will you do?
Ooh.
Oh boy, what would I do?
Well, you brought it up. I never would have known if you had said
Well,
it.
the thing about it is there's so many things that need to be done. It's hard to single one out. Of course, naturally.
Well, I have some ideas, but what do you think? Go. Yeah.
Well, my slogan when I was running was truth, accountability, and service. And I think many people will agree they're getting tired of being lied to.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't going to make me any famous, but my goal was to bring out the truth of everything that's going on in Washington, not just picking and choosing. Naturally, accountability. I myself, I would have held myself accountable, and I want every other politician to hold themselves accountable. And let's face it, that's not happening today. Nobody's being held accountable with what's going on in our government. And of course, service. Mary and I, we both have a heart, servant's heart. We just love to serve people. We don't never like to be in the leadership position, considering that I was a former police sergeant. It's kind of weird to say, but that's the way I felt like as Congress. And there's a lot. I mean, you want me to tell you what to fix?
Yeah.
I don't think we have enough time on air to do that.
Really? What would you fix, Aaron?
Certainly. Well, I think that something that has really impacted my life, and in some ways, and it's impacting other blind people's lives a lot, is that blind people are discriminated against too much when they graduate from university and can't get a job. And that really affects people's psyche, and that really affects families, and that really affects the economy, and that really affects the betterment of the United States overall. So I think one thing that needs to happen is there needs to be more legislation to encourage and incentivize agencies and companies to hire blind people who are ready to work.
Oh, yeah.
It can work. Unfortunately, is trying to find out what they're doing is the problem as it stands right now. After I retired, as a police officer, I came to work at the security office at my local airport. And prior to that, I had applied for 3 different jobs, and I admitted to them that I had, low vision at the time. Never got a call back. I go to probably at the airport security office. Didn't tell them that I was low vision. Got the job right away. Yeah. So I know there are certain ways to do things when you hire someone with vision loss. Unfortunately, they're not 100% foolproof, and you still got to be a little bit deceptive, if you would call it that way, and not tell anybody. I mean, I have 35 years of work experience. I can get any job if I applied without letting anybody know. The minute I walk in the door with a cane, I can guarantee you that opening is gone.
Yeah, that's true.
It's bad. But on the flip side, I do keep up with legislation, and there is many things that are going on in our government, which is starting to make a little bit less discriminatory against people with disabilities in general, but focusing on those with vision loss. There's a lot of changes that are going on, like the legislation to make websites completely accessible for those with vision loss. That's in the process. The audio description part of our vision loss, that's starting to become a norm more and more. My biggest complaint that I got regarding that is discrimination against service dog users.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That has just gotten out of hand. I don't blame the businesses, to be honest with you. However, I do blame them on how they handle the situations.
Yeah.
And I spoke to my state representative a year ago, and I said, why don't we start a legal process where if anybody's going to have a service dog, they have to prove that it is a legitimate service dog and not just be allowed to slap a harness around their back and say, this is a service dog.
Yeah.
And being denied service because the business says, I don't believe you, it's discrimination.
Yeah.
And those who have legitimate service dogs, especially those who use guide dogs, should not have to go through that. But again, on the flip side, my proposal is to put an endorsement on the back of someone's ID card.
Yep.
And saying that the state acknowledges that their service dog is a legitimate service dog.
But it has to go with the proper documentation
Yeah.
through your local, where we get our IDs.
Yeah, let me give as an example, handicap parking.
Yeah.
In order for anybody to get a license plate or a placard, they got to go through the process. I don't know how it is where you're at, but in Texas, in order for us to get a handicap placard, a doctor has to fill out an actual prescription.
Yeah.
And fill out a form. We take it to our local tax office and they issue us a placard.
Yeah.
So why can't it be done the same way
For
our guide dog?
Mm-hmm.
And then the state endorses the back of our ID cards. Same concept.
Yeah.
And some will call that discrimination. And my argument is, well, then I guess we might as well do away with all the handicap parking because that's the same process.
Yeah. Yep. What do you think about that, Aaron?
Well, I think that it's a huge issue. I had a guide dog for 13 years from Guiding Eyes for the Blind, Yorktown Heights, New York. And
Yeah.
I always had these types of problems with various forms of discrimination. Not often, but when it happens, it's wrong. And
Yeah.
and it's a repeated issue that I think is getting worse and worse. I think after COVID, everything got much worse about that. People stayed inside, they started to forget their social behaviors and things like that. So it just got worse and worse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and unfortunately, many of those with legitimate service dogs are paying the price for it. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to say it's a quick fix, but it is a quick fix. Just go through the same process that I described. It can be acknowledged, and the business owners would have no reason but to accept that the dog is a service animal without argument.
Because they always want paperwork. Well, do you have any illegitimate paperwork to show me that your dog is? Well, I shouldn't have to do that.
Well, you don't. You're not supposed to do that. You're not
have
required to do
but
that.
But if it's on your ID, it's just a little thing that says service
here's-
dog.
Here's the other thing too. The dog should be microchipped from the school where it came from, and that's the proof.
That too.
That too, yeah. But here in the valley, they won't care if they're microchipped because they'll never pay attention to that, anyways.
Yeah, that's a problem where we live at.
They'll say a Chihuahua is a service dog because it's my emotional service dog, and it's actually just their pet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But
Yes.
what makes it worse where we live in is the understanding of vision loss is almost it's a wasteland.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea. The discrimination I've experienced here where I live is just ridiculous. And I've been all over the country, and I mean there have been some areas where I've been treated like royalty. Here, I'm a bum. I'm homeless as far as they're concerned. I shouldn't be out in public as far as they're concerned. And that's why we do what we do. That's why I'm reaching out to all our government leaders here in our area and telling them, hey, look, work with me here. We need to let people know what it's like to interact with a blind person. They're not, they don't have anything. They're not infectious or anything like that.
You're not going to catch my blindness. It's not contagious.
Right. But unfortunately, a lot of people still seem to think it is contagious. So this is a serious issue.
It is. And that's the statement we're trying to break through here where we live.
Starting in the elementary schools, we're trying to get in there to educate the children, catch them when they're young, and it'll go through their whole life and they'll understand. Yeah,
I reached out to one of our district superintendents asking them to give us permission for the next school year to appear at their elementary schools and just talk about vision loss. Kids at that age, they're sponges. They absorb what we talk to them about. And as I've said often before, the reason I decided that we should go with elementary schools was when my kids told me that the reason they stayed off drugs was the Say No to Drugs program. And my kids never got on drugs. And if they worked for them, talking to others about, kids about vision loss, I think it'll work for them too.
We're waiting for Phil to get his guide dog in October, so he's going to the one in New York too.
Guiding eyes.
Guiding eyes too.
Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Great
Well,
choice. Guiding us,
unfortunately,
they're great.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I was there in February, and
He got sick.
I ended up coming down with a severe flu, and they sent me home, and I was really disappointed.
Oh,
Yeah.
I got to meet
well,
my dog and everything, and she was great, and I was like in awe of all the training that I was able to do, but I couldn't complete it. Right now,
Yeah.
it appears that it appears I'm returning in October. Mary has also applied, so
Yeah.
let's see how it goes with her.
Yeah.
oh, that's wonderful, guys.
Mhm.
That's so sweet. And then when the guide dogs are at home not working, they'll be like brother and sister or brothers, and
Yeah.
they'll that's so sweet. Yeah. My guide dog Nani, when she was around, she she when she wasn't working, she played with our pet dog, and Nani was a black lab, and the
Mhm.
pet dog was a yellow lab.
Mhm.
Ah, so they always played together, and it was always very, very, very touching. Absolutely.
Oh,
But
oh,
guiding
that's
eye, but I went to Guiding Eyes for the Blind in 2009, so I'm sure it's all different now.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So we're waiting for that. So we have a dog taken to the schools, because kids are gonna react to the dog a little bit more than a cane,
Sure.
So,
Sure. It's
so
a
that's
lot
what we're waiting
more
for.
it's a lot more relatable to a child
Yeah.
if they
Oh
see
yeah.
a
Oh
dog.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You get their attention right away, and they're like, "Oh, it's a dog," So that's what we need right now. That's what we're waiting for. Yep.
Definitely. So, you know, another interesting angle that I've never actually gotten the chance to ask this question. So, Phil, when you were in all your 17 years of law enforcement, did you ever deal with, did you ever deal with a blind person, or did you ever deal with anyone with a disability? And what
Mhm.
do you think? Because the reason why I'm asking this is, you see and you watch the videos. Everybody watches the strange videos of people who say like, I can't follow the law because of my pretend disability or my pretend this or that. What's your take on that, by the way? What do you really think should be, how should law enforcement officers be trained when it comes to dealing with people with disabilities? What do you really think?
It's really hard to say because this generation of police officers is much different than mine. Um, Back when I started, there was virtually no training on dealing, people with mental disabilities. There was no training whatsoever. Really, there was no training on interacting with anyone with a disability. And by the time I ended my career, it was starting to become a little bit noticeable that we needed to concentrate on that. And I really could. I mean, it's been a while since I've been gone. I don't know how much has changed. One thing is for certain is back then we didn't have as many cameras as we do now, so the accountability is there. I'm not saying that we were bad cops or anything like that. I'm just saying that we didn't have to watch ourselves as much as we do by saying one wrong word could just change the whole narrative.
Mhm. Yeah.
And in my experience, yes, I did deal with some people with some mental issues and everything like that, but I never had any really bad altercations with them, except for one guy 2 months into my career, uh, get a call of a suspicious guy. And it turns out, in the end, it turns out this was a local. I had never interacted before. I had just been released on my own after my training period. I got dispatched to the call, and sure enough, he's at somebody's house screaming and yelling that he's going to kill people and so forth and so forth. And I'm like, doggone it. And he's got a pouch. And I'm yelling at him, don't reach into the pouch. I keep yelling at him. He's not listening to me. He's getting closer to me. I had no choice but to, pull my pistol. And I got it pointed, and I keep telling him, don't reach into that pouch. He reached into the pouch.
Oh God.
And I was about to squeeze the trigger when he pulled out a Bible.
Oh, yeah.
And the interesting thing about it is,
For goodness, for goodness
Yep.
sake, hey, sorry, I just so some people in society, glad he had the Bible, but that's
Yeah.
not quite just the timing. That's not the quite. I don't think that was what the Lord intended to scare a police officer with the Bible.
No.
I don't think that's quite the way that's supposed to work. Yeah, yeah.
No. Oh.
Now
Oh,
on the dark side of it all was it was happening. It was happening in a high traffic area, and
Mhm.
after I was able to restrain him, people were walking up to me and telling him, "You should have killed him." And that's the dark side of law enforcement. We don't go out to kill anybody. We don't want to shoot anybody at all. And to
definitely
hear people
not.
say that to us, it just adds
It's
a
not
punch
support.
to
It's
the
not
gut.
supportive. It's it's
Yeah.
unkind and not supportive. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so sad.
But that was about the major time that I did interact with someone with a mental disability. Other than that, it was just irregular.
I
I
suppose.
don't know.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. So, no, was that no, was that person someone with a mental disability, or was he religious, or both?
It was. I want to go with a mental disability.
Oh,
I interacted with him a couple more times, but then he just disappeared.
Yeah.
I see.
Uh,
Well, whatever. Well, and did he sell you the Bible, or like whatever became of his Bible?
well, last thing I heard, it ended up in our property room because uh, he got arrested.
Yeah.
I
In the
see.
end, of course, he was transferred to a mental facility. But
Oh,
what happened?
jeez,
Yeah,
that's too
what happened
bad.
to that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Ay,
happens.
ay, ay. Yeah, there's probably all sorts of stories. Like, I mean, you aren't the only one that had that happen to you for sure. That's a constant thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting on that note. And then, okay, one more question about your past, and I have other questions about your show and what you're doing now. So then, um, a lot of law enforcement gets a lot of silly calls, or a lot of really hilariously funny things happen. What was the most hilarious laugh out loud call you were ever dispatched to, where you just went home laughing about it for 6 months later?
Oh my gosh.
Was it Rusty?
Uh, oh my God. Well, okay. We had this homeless guy. Well, he wasn't homeless. He was an alcoholic, and he was always out on the streets. And I was training a new officer, and it was about 2 in the morning. We get a call that there's a guy asleep on the sidewalk downtown. So we respond, and me being me, I decided it was a great time to have my officer, my trainee, learn how to arrest someone. And this was someone that we knew all the time, and he didn't really get out of control, but he had his moments. And we show up, another officer shows up, parks up behind our car. All three of us are out of the car. The guy's passed out drunk. So I tell him, wake him up and take him to jail. And he does. And it was one of those moments where he decided to get a little bit rowdy. And he was struggling trying to get him arrested. And me and the other officers, we're veterans, and we know this guy is not capable of doing something too dangerous. So we start doing our own little criticism of him and go, doesn't he have a great technique? I mean, look at him. He's grabbing him by the hands, and oh, look, there he goes again. Oh, look, he's taking him to the ground. What would you give him? I would give him an 8.5 on this arrest. That was one of just the many things that we just had some fun with. In the end, he did go to jail, and it was just, there's so many things that we did. Cops have more fun than they let on. That's how we relieve the stress.
Right. Well, it sounds interesting, and thank you for your service. And it sounds like you really enjoyed that. So that's great. That's great. And then, by the way, how did you get into the Lions Club? So I'm 33. I've been a Lion since I was 18. How did you get into that, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, and we're going to be straightforward. We were looking for someone to donate to our nonprofit charity, and we decided the best way to do is find out what the Lions Club is. And it turned out it's something we ended up doing, because what is the Lions Club logo? We serve.
We serve.
Well, I'm sorry, the
Absolutely.
slogan. Yes, we serve. And we're like, that's just us.
So now we serve. I'm the project coordinator in our Lions Club, and I try to coordinate a lot of stuff. We do a lot of stuff with the loaves and fishes, the homeless, help feed the homeless and stuff like that with the Lions Club. So we enjoy it.
I don't participate in anything because I already got too much on my plate, but I'm just a member. But I do participate when we have events that we need to help with.
We work with the Salvation Army a lot too. So we've been about a member a year and a half now. So we're new. We're
All
new.
right.
Yeah, about a year and a
Yeah.
half. It's a great
That's always
organization.
it's it's the number one organization in the world, largest volunteer organization ever. Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Fellow Lion, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Yeah. Does your club have now? Do you guys have a lot of members? How's your membership? Just pure
Um,
curiosity.
we have 18. We had one just pass away last week, so
Actually, two.
2 passed away this year.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. This question's going bad. This is getting worse.
No, it happens. It
Oh.
happens. They were
Yeah, I know.
older. Yeah. He was a member for like 30 some years, so and he passed away. So
Yeah. He was a veteran.
yeah, and he was a veteran. So we miss him a lot and he was great. But membership is it's hard to get new members. It really is. Especially with the economy. People don't have the money to do
And
the
I think the problem too is that a lot of people feel like the Lions Club is for very old people, and that's not true. I think there's some demographic issues, you know?
I think so. I'm only 50 and Phil's 60, so
Tell
we're
the
not
world.
we're not that old.
Well, you are not. I agree. But for the Lions standards, you probably are considered very young. And certainly I'm to the Lions Club people that I would meet in most Lions Club, I would be like some little kid, 33,
Oh wow, you are young. You're a
Yeah.
chick. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's what yeah. So most of the Lions are in their 70s, mostly.
Yeah, they are.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I know of a fellow Lion about 20 miles away. He's been a Lion for 75 years now,
Jeez.
and he's still ready to keep going.
He's in his 90s, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Crazy. Dedication.
I think doing all these good things helps you to stay alive longer. The
It
karma of being helpful is
Yeah. it does.
definitely true. Absolutely.
Yeah,
If
we enjoy
someone
it.
asks, when you talk about your show, by the way, Two Blind Mice, like how would you say you guys structure the show? Everybody has a different flavor. I tend to be more of the long form interview type, but how do you guys approach your show and structure your interviews?
A lot of it has to do on who the guest is. We generally tell them that because they often ask, "How long is your show?" I say, "It's up to you."
Mhm.
I go, "We can go anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, and if you want to go longer than that, you're welcome to do so, as long as you're talking about why you are here." And there have been some guests that have been on there for 30 minutes. There have been some guests that have been on there for an hour and a half, up to almost an hour and 45 minutes, because they had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And we're perfectly fine with that because we don't like doing what Mary calls blind on blind crime. If we're going to have somebody come on the show and talk about their technology or their organization,
Mhm.
we don't want to hinder anything. We want people to know all about who they are.
Yeah.
And to say to them, 20 minutes into the show, well, we're going to have to cut this short because, it's going too long. We don't like doing that. And we had some great conversations. In fact, last night we did a show, and I'm going to do a plug for this team. We had a gentleman by the name of Gino Marks, Michael, Olga, and Becca.
Yeah.
And they are working to get a sitcom pilot picked up by one of the networks or streaming services
Mhm.
called Don't Look Now. It's a sitcom created by visually impaired people and sighted persons pretending to be visually impaired.
Mhm.
And it's just we were given, we can't really talk much about it because we've been sworn to confidentially, but we were given a preview of their pilot, and it is hilarious, and it
Mhm.
touches base on a lot of the things that we experience as people who cannot see. That just makes you laugh. And they have a pilot on YouTube called Don't Look Now, and just reading, just listening to the pilot,
It's so funny.
it is hilarious.
So our Two Blind Mice is pretty much kind of like yours, answer question answer, but we don't take ourselves seriously. We joke a lot with the guests. We have a good time. By the time the show's over, I'm pretty much like, that was such a good show and it was so much fun and it was funny. I don't take myself serious at all. So
None
we're
of us do.
lighthearted type of people. So
Yeah. In fact, let me give a little bit of a shameless plug to our other two hosts. Of course, you got me and Mary.
Yeah.
We have Justin. He is also visually impaired. He is in Oklahoma. And then we have our producer, Albert. He is disabled, but he is physically disabled due to a stroke.
Mhm.
He's the one that keeps us online because he is the one that reads the comments or questions anybody may have during the show. He pushes the buttons, flips the switches to make sure we're going everything okay. So that's who we are as far as the team is concerned. There's really four of us, and it's not just me and Mary.
Yeah.
It's the four of
Run
us.
by mostly blind and one disabled. So, yep, that's the show.
Fabulous.
Mhm.
Yeah, I know who Gino Marks is. I've interviewed Becca before too, actually,
Oh,
before all
good.
that happened. Yeah, I interviewed her. I also interviewed, no, I don't think she would remember because it was nearly 4 years ago, but I did interview Olga Mahler. So I do
Yeah.
know who you're talking about. I don't know. I've been surprised when you say, I don't think they'll remember me. And then they definitely do. I don't know if she might remember me, but I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw the pilot on YouTube. It's definitely interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny, and we had a very good conversation last night. It was
Yeah, we
very
did.
lighthearted and just great. You know,
Great people. They're
Yeah,
great
yeah,
people.
they are. They're a great team,
Yeah, they're great.
and I'm glad they're
Yeah.
doing this, and I hope they do get picked up because
I
I
hope
think
so.
we need something like that.
I think it would be amazing if they did. It's very difficult to get picked up by Net. It's incredibly difficult with all the
Mhm.
competition. I hope they get picked up by Netflix. That would be super cool.
It would
It,
be.
it would be. They've already said we're ready to go on subsequent episodes as long as somebody says go ahead and do them. They're just waiting for that green light, and I hope they do get it.
Yeah. So that's who we had on last night. They were on our show last night. It was fun.
Oh, super cool. Great.
Mhm.
Amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, good. Good. Well, very good. And then now another huge area is obviously you guys are charity driven,
Mhm.
So, and on your page on Facebook, I do see a PayPal, link on your website. So how does your charity work exactly? Where can people get information? How did you guys get into that and how does it work exactly? Yeah.
Oh, wow. How do we get into that?
Mhm.
Well, 6 years ago, we have a friend who works with the local rehab service here in Texas.
Mhm.
And as it is often the case, she became a close friend. And she was talking to us that she had just returned from Mexico City. She has a friend down there who runs a school for the blind. And the conversation started with the fact that there the resources are not as abundant as we have them here, and
Yeah.
the biggest problem they have is they don't have navigation canes. They use tree branches, broomsticks, they tape bottles or cans into it, and that's what they use. And we're like, wow. So in 2020 we created the White Cane Project, and they were our first recipients,
Mhm.
and we've gone from there. And as it turns out, unfortunately, the pandemic did take a blow,
Yeah.
out of us. And in a way, we're rebuilding, but it's gotten pretty good. Uh, as I stated previously, we are just recently announced that we are going international.
Mhm.
Uh, as you know, many organizations and agencies here in the United States provide canes at no cost to people. So,
Yeah.
I know that there are some of those that will fall through the cracks, and we're ready to provide canes to them. But the thing that we notice is there's so many organizations worldwide who are private, who have very little finances, who,
Mhm.
despite that, are still trying to help those who are blind in their respective areas. And we got to thinking, okay, so why don't we provide them canes? And
And an O&M
that's what that's what I was about to say. But that wasn't good enough for us.
Yeah.
We want to be able to not only send them a cane or canes, but we want to be able to send them an instructor so they
Trainer.
can put them to, do a training on how to use a navigation
Or
cane.
train somebody there to train other blind people too.
Yeah, we don't
Yeah.
want to just stop with just giving them canes and say, here's your cane, have fun. No, we want to make sure that they know how to use it properly. And naturally, that is, going international is a major cost. We're hoping to get some grants going, but we're living off of donations at this point. We're
Yeah.
looking for corporate sponsorships, and we just could use the help because we're not satisfied with just doing Mexico. In fact, one of the next projects that we're trying to concentrate on is going to Cuba.
Yeah.
And we don't want to stop there. We're not ready to stop. We're very adamant about giving canes to people who cannot afford them.
And teaching them how to use them.
Just a thought that someone's using a tree branch to help themselves
To navigate down a street. I can't. It just breaks my heart. I can't.
It's resourceful, but I get the
It
point.
is, but
I mean, hey, you gotta see. That's why you guys should add some ingredient of resourcefulness to that.
yeah.
I don't know. like give them a
Yeah.
white cane and then I don't know, add some other creativity to it. But you got
Yeah.
to throw in a spice of creativity here at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely you are so right. I have spoken with many people I too have been blessed with many guests from all over the world. And I have consistently noticed that although given that I only speak English and French, I don't speak Spanish. We oftentimes forget about all the thousands of people in Latin America that are suffering, that have very, 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 very challenging lives. And the more blind people that I've spoken to from that region, I realize like that part of the world is very, very much behind in that whole
Yes.
section. I mean, that's
It
a
is
serious issue.
one
For
of one of
spiritual
one of the
issues, social issues, it's a big issue. Go ahead, Philip.
Yes.
Yeah.
one of the things that we are looking forward to is that the Lions Club International Conference is going to be held in Mexico City.
Yeah, we're going.
And we're looking forward to attending that because we want to meet our recipients.
We want to go to the School for the Blind and also meet other Lion Clubs members in Mexico City that live in Mexico City. So that's what we're planning to do next year. So with the Lions Club.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that so much.
Yes.
I've been to Mexico City. Mexico City is just it's an amazing city.
Yeah, so.
I saw when I had vision. It's going to be a whole new experience for me with vision loss now. So
we're still working on Mexico. We're still working on trying to get more canes to Mexico, but we need donations, and cane prices have gone through the roof, just like everything else. And we can't just give them simple tips either, because just the point tip will break real fast in their roads and their street. It's like cobblestone. It's terrible. So they need the rolling marshmallows or the rolling ball tips for their canes. So that's an extra $15 price tag on the cane. So that's what we're working towards.
Really good. Yes, go ahead.
Going back to your question as to why we have the PayPal link is to anybody that wants to make a donation. Now, I am going to be blamed for something on this one. Is yes, it's on our the Two Blind Mice Show Facebook page. I need to put it on because we do have a Facebook page called the White Cane Project. I need to put it on there, and I'm hoping that your listeners go there and donate. We could use the financial help. We're trying to do as much as we can. We have had some donations, nothing major. We are hoping to get corporate sponsors. Like I said, we really want to make this happen. We're not satisfied. We're just on a personal level, because it's Mary and I, again, Justin and Albert, we're all part of this. We're not satisfied with just having people, I don't know. It's hard to explain. We want to make their lives a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
I think it's easy to explain. You want to basically take my slogan. You want to help one person today and 1 million people tomorrow.
There you go. That's a great slogan. Yes.
I want
well, guess what? It's my slogan.
You can, we can have it.
No.
That's awesome, Aaron.
Thank you. So, well, that's good. Well, definitely give me, here's what I can, 2 promises that I'm going to make you. I never make promises I can keep, so I'm not making promises, but certainly if you give me the information, I have a secret idea in my mind. I can't say it on the air, obviously, but I have a secret idea. And I can't even give you a hint, because then you'll know what the idea is that I'm thinking of. So I got to be really careful about not mentioning it. But soon, I tell you what I can do. If you guys can send me all of the information about your charity, this White Cane thing, and what you guys are doing. If you guys can send me all the necessary bells and whistles of that, I can use my imagination, talk to some people. I do have a secret idea about that, so that I have, so definitely there are people here in the Aaron's Opinion family that really care about that. And then the fact that I really like the fact that both of you are Lions who are not only living the idea of we serve, but have taken it even one step further to say we serve and so do we, and here's how many other people we can help with our own creativity. And I think that's worth celebrating, and definitely worth making a mental note of this for sure. That's absolutely. And when you do, by the way, I usually like to mention this on Facebook Messenger or chats afterwards, but I always I always like to say it when I can say it. Please do, both of you can send me a nice little description about yourselves, who you are as people. Philip, you can certainly say that you started out sighted, worked in law enforcement, lost your vision in 2005, did all these interesting things, and then obviously put all of the social media links, especially your White Cane Project links and all the plugs for the charity and all that. You can
Okay.
definitely put them in the description, and I'll definitely create a strong description along with my secret idea.
Okay.
Got it. Yeah.
And
Of
yeah, but
course.
that's all wonderful. How many now? But by the way, so how fluent are you guys in Spanish? Being that you guys live in Texas, are you guys pretty fluent in Spanish?
Bill is. He
Yeah.
grew up speaking Spanish.
Sí,
Oh.
señor.
See, no, and I had to learn a lot of it when I was a nurse. So
Mm.
I'm not fluent, but I can get by, as they say. But
Mm.
Phil is very fluent. It was his first language.
Yeah, you had to listen to me curse in Spanish when she gets on my nerves.
I see. So back to something back to your past just a little bit, because I understand why you steered away from it. But your adoptive family, as in your adoptive parents, so were they like native Spanish speakers from like one of the Latin American countries, or is that how you grew up in just a Latin American family?
I was, as was once called, a love child. And there's some violence behind it, because apparently my biological grandfather was not too happy with what happened, because my mother was a unwed mother.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah,
In a Latin American country, in
yeah,
Mexico.
it's just it's a big no-no.
Yeah.
And my family moved here back in the early 1900s, and that's where the generations went. And of course, that was also my biological mother that moved here too. And when that happened, well, as it turned out, my adopted mother took responsibility for me when she gave birth to me.
Yeah.
And here we are today.
And they all spoke Spanish. His
Every
mother still spoke Spanish when I met her. That's all she spoke was
Yeah,
Spanish.
but she was a little bit devious. She pretended she didn't know English. She knew English. No, but yeah, I mean, everybody really in my family,
They're Spanish speaking.
they're all We're all Spanish speaking,
Yeah.
except for the new younger generation, like my daughter. She's not a Spanish speaker,
Yeah.
but she's full 100% Mexican. Go figure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Some of the younger kids just don't want to speak Spanish. Yeah.
Nope.
For me, I never wanted to speak French until I was in my 20s and 30s and started going to France a lot. And then I fell in love with the language and became
Oh.
interested in French people. And yeah. Mm-hmm.
Cool. I've never
Yeah.
been to France.
Yeah, it would be a hard country to go to if you don't speak French. It's a very and for disabilities, it's a very different society. So
Really? Oh, okay.
yeah, it is. It is, which is why I'm so glad you guys are working on getting these canes down to Mexico and these other countries that really, those blind people down there, they really need, not that blind people should ask for handouts or hand ups, but they need some help to
Yeah,
put
they
it.
do.
Yeah,
It's a simple thing. A cane is a simple thing to us,
it's like I said, there are many organizations around the world, Central America and Mexico included, that do serve the blind community, but the majority of them are not government funded or government run. Like us, they rely on donations, and some of them, frankly, are not bringing in what they want to bring in, and that means that they're not able to provide navigation canes. Well, if that's the case, we can do that.
Yep. Sounds good.
We want to do that. I mean, we really, really, really want to do that. We don't like the idea of people not using an actual navigation cane.
Yeah.
So how many other podcasts have you guys been on over the years?
Oh,
we did Renee's Cooking Without Looking.
yeah, we did.
Oh, me too. I've interviewed her. She's a character. She's cool.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord, is she?
Yeah, she did a podcast with us, and then she did a live show to cook. We did a gentleman. His name was Kelvin Crosby. He is.
See me cane.
Yeah, he has looks like a lightsaber kind of cane. He had us on our podcast to tell our story. God, who else?
We did. Oh no, we haven't done that many actually. Not many people have asked us to do it because we're kind of new still.
Like I said, though,
we've done a lot ourselves.
This Friday we are going to be interviewed by our state representative. About a month ago, we were interviewed by our local ABC affiliate.
Yeah, we're on
And
the
so-
news. We were on the news. Yeah, we were on the news.
So we're getting a little bit more and more, and that's why we don't hesitate on doing podcasts like yours, because it
Yeah.
just gives us exposure and gives the opportunity to talk about the White King Project. Yeah, we love doing the Two Blind Mice show, but the fact is that's free.
We need to be exposed to other platforms.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
do, because we really want to get the
word
whole
out.
story, the word out about the White King Project. Also,
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, that is so wonderful. So if someone by the way, now we're basically coming to the end of an amazing,
Yes.
amazing time with both of you. So I'm going to let each of you ask me only one question to really make me sweat, to see if I'm worth my salt as a podcaster. What do each of you want to ask me? Mary, go ahead.
Oh, what do I want to ask you? How many people have you had on your podcast?
Well,
Yeah.
I suppose over the years since 2020, I've interviewed a couple hundred people, I guess.
Wow.
Thank you. But some of those people are what I call repeat offenders, meaning they're people that, come back and back, for
Yeah.
different episodes over time. Some people will record an episode 1 year and then 2 or 3 years later, hey, do you remember me? And then they want to come back and give a life update, or I've had those. But I have a couple hundred episodes. Yeah. And there's
Cool. Okay.
a Facebook group that you guys are going to be added into, a WhatsApp group. I do communicate a lot on so my WhatsApp group will help you guys to connect with my international audience and keep spreading your love and your passions that you do, all the projects.
Good.
So
Thank
if you want all the other countries to know about the important work you're doing, definitely join my Facebook group
Yes.
and WhatsApp group, and we'll definitely get that set up for you.
Great, Aaron. Thank you for
tomorrow,
interviewing me.
you are forever welcome. Philip, go.
Your question?
I guess I'm going to ask the question you've probably been asked 100 times before.
Oh.
How independent are you?
I mean, I would say that I'm a pretty independent person. I'm able to get around my community. I have usable vision, so I'm, able to ride my electric scooter around my neighborhood where I live for fun. I'm able to do stuff like that, but I still use a cane, and I certainly cannot drive a car. And, I can't read a print book.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good answer.
So if someone wants to get in touch with the Two Blind Mice show, or either one of you, how do they do it?
Wow. Whoa. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. Okay, let's start with the Two Blind Mice show. You can get a hold of us on Facebook under the Two Blind Mice show. Same thing on our YouTube channel, the Two Blind Mice show. You want to send us an email, you can get a hold of us at the Two Blind Mice show at gmail.com.
TWO, not number 2.
Yeah, TWO. Again, always feel free to reach out to us on Messenger. If you want to come on the show, or anybody else wants to come on the show, don't hesitate to ask.
Mm-hmm.
We're always getting people to come on the show. So, frankly,
well, good, because I'm good, and in my case, I'm not going to ask. I'm going to tell you, I'm coming on the show. I don't need you.
Yes.
There you go.
There you go.
See how simple it is.
Well, this is what I've been telling people for 4 years. So get used to telling people simple stuff for years and years and years. So many people don't get. Or the other one that cracks me up all the time is, how do I get in touch with you, Aaron? Well, if you would listen to the podcast, you would know.
Yes.
That's another famous one too. How do you get in touch? Well, just listen to the podcast. They'll probably tell you. It's pretty noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do. I love I mean, it's like Mary once told me when Mary attended the Crisco Rehabilitation Center School for the Blind in Austin.
Yeah, I did.
And at that time I was just scheduling people after people to come on the show. And one day one of her, I think it was instructors or something, asked her, how in the world does your husband get so many people to come on the show? And Mary's response, he just asks. And that's what I do. I just ask. Right now, I am so, oh God. I don't know if you've heard of Glidance, that new AI cane.
Yeah, I think I saw that on Facebook. Sure. Yeah.
We're trying to get that guy to come on our
I
show.
want him to come on the show, but their contact information is not valid.
Yeah.
So if anybody knows anybody on how to get a hold of them, tell them to get in touch.
The thing is, if someone is that hard to contact, I mean, it's nothing personal. My theory is that we as podcasters, as successful blind people, we should be easy to contact. It should be just a simple email and a Facebook page. And if people
Yeah.
can't have those things, then it's nothing personal, but I kind of don't want that business, because then it
Yeah.
just becomes too fussy and just too, that's kind of a clue that
That's
they
what I
aren't ready
thought.
for prime time. That's what that
That's
means.
what I
I'm not
thought.
ready for prime time. Yeah.
Yeah, I
That-
thought the same thing, Aaron. I agree with you.
That's what Mary calls blind on blind crime. You know,
Blind on blind crime, which does exist, believe it or not.
Well,
Yeah.
whatever it is, I don't interview people who I can't contact. That's
Good for you.
that's a trick. You can't, no matter how much you want to, Philip, if you can't contact him, you can't interview him. I know it's hard, because you would
Yeah.
think eventually they would notice, but sometimes people are odd about that. But
Yeah. So you wanted to know how to get a hold of us on how else?
absolutely. And any other methodology that you guys can be
Okay.
reached.
okay, I'm going to go out on a limb because I'm never afraid to do this, and I know some people are apprehensive about this.
No,
You
you're
wanna
about
come-
to be afraid and apprehensive, but go ahead.
Oh no, not even. All right. If anybody wants to come on the show, to promote the technology that they're creating, their organization, their group, whatever it is, like I said, you can contact us at twoblindmyshow@gmail.com. You can contact us through Messenger, or you can call or text me at my number, 956-238-7753. I'm not afraid to give my number. This is why. I get so many robocalls a day. I don't care if some actual human calls me back. I'll answer the phone.
Yeah, he does.
And I love promoting people's technologies, people's organizations.
People.
I want to, yeah, and people too. So I don't care who, call me, text me, email me. We're good to
What's
go.
your email?
The twoblindmyshow@gmail.com.
Okay, there you go.
Now, we also have, of course, the White Cane project that we talked about. That one, as I said, we are in the process of going international on our
It's under
website.
construction right
Yeah.
now.
But if you check in the future, go to the whitecaneproject.org, and you can get a hold of us through there.
Mhm.
You can
Definitely
email us.
include that link. Please include that link in the description for sure, because people are going to
Okay.
want to know that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and of course, if you want to email me because of the White Cane Project, you can contact me at Philip, and that's PHILIP at. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it was.
Right. Okay, start over. That happens. Everybody.
Oh my god, I'm so used to
Yeah,
using.
How about
yeah.
contacting him? I think even I can take a. Well, I'll take a wild stab at it. You can contact me. Contact him at philip@thewhitecaneproject.org.
No,
No,
actually,
no, no
yeah, I need to update that email, but for current, until we get that website up, it's going to be Philip, PHILIP at whitecaneproject.net.
Yeah, .net.
Okay. Okay. That's yeah. Definitely send me that email. There's probably a specific reason why I'm asking. Definitely send me that specific email. There's a secret reason. So yeah,
Okay,
that's
secrets.
very, very, very. As Lions, you'll understand. But that's very, very all wonderful. All right.
Wonderful.
Well,
Thank
is your
you. Aaron.
podcast is your podcast available anywhere people can get a podcast? By the way,
We only do live streaming on StreamYard.
that's fine.
We tried doing an actual podcast,
Yeah.
but
Didn't-
the format that we were using was not accessible at all, so we gave up. We've
Yeah.
been considering starting a new podcast, but we haven't really gotten around to it because, to be frank,
We
trying to
like the live stream.
we like the live stream, but trying to
Mhm.
get sponsors for the White Cane project has taken up quite a bit of our time. So
Mhm.
Yep,
maybe
StreamYard.
once we set that aside, we can go back to our podcast, but we need to find one that is accessible to us.
So just on YouTube, we're on YouTube. And
Yeah, just a
yeah.
live stream. Oh,
yeah,
great.
live stream.
All right, everybody. Well, we'll connect later. We'll connect later today or tomorrow about all this, but that was an amazing recording. So thank you. Thank you to both of you for spending your evening with me. Really, really appreciate it. And everybody else around the world will definitely be sending you information and questions and all of that. So until then, thank you so much. Be well. Keep live streaming out there. Keep doing the right thing and serving people. And as we say here at Aaron's Opinion, help one person today, help 1 million people tomorrow. If you're still watching on YouTube, thank you so much. Like the video, and of course, comment below on the video and subscribe to the channel. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Wonderful conversation as always. We will certainly be back soon. Hey, we're even going to come back tomorrow, so you might even get to see us live again tomorrow. If you want more information about that, let me know out there in the audience. All right, everybody. Take care. Be well. We'll talk soon.